And welcome back. This is round 2 of Paddling Pool 211. Once again, we are in groups. I am Pat, here with the Chili Boy.
Hello everybody, welcome, and let's hope we're going on as we've started with what was a really engaging first set. This is Once Upon a Time in Bali versus the Roo. Both these teams have won their opening set in their group, so these look like to be the strong contenders from their pool, so we'll see how they measure up against each other. Clan Blitz on Mako, Mart. We were just talking a little bit about this beforehand, weren't we, Pat? And I think this is a chaotic map mode combination, but in the best way possible. What are your thoughts?
I feel like, Mako Mart is always so fun, so many different opportunities, so many different weapons that you can play, so many play styles. And Clan Blitz on it, the map is so small. You have to be really certain to recognize when your push is over, because if the enemy team wipes you while you are pushing, they have the time to get a push of their own and completely destroy you. I've seen so many KOs happening after an enemy push just because they got wiped, and that's what you want to look at. But here we have Once Upon a Time in Bali versus the Root. The team that wins this is pretty much guaranteed to have Alpha Bracket.
Yeah, definitely. They're very likely to make it through. I like that Once Upon a Time in Bali have a player called Bali as well. I think that's that's a nice little gimmick. But totally agree with your analysis on the map. Like, it's quite easy to reach the basket to get a quick 20 points in, but you can be punished for it so significantly, and then experience a kind of devastating counter-offensive. So better to play this one a bit more methodological and can't say that word properly, but yeah, a bit more kind of slow and steady, take your time, get those opportunities where you get a huge numbers advantage, and then go for that kind of devastating lock and chipping the basket down. Be interesting to see what kind of people play here as well, because I think it's a map where weapons across all sorts of kind of ranges are really viable. So yeah, hoping for some interesting combinations as we get into this.
Yeah, for sure. And if you can put yourself onto the enemy platform, you can keep the basket open for so long, because again, this map being so small means collecting clams is fast.
Absolutely. We've got Splatana Wiper, which has been a really strong pick for quite a while now, but especially with the recent buffs. Got Custom Junior coming out from the Root, which I think is also a really solid choice here. So yeah, nice weapon diversity. We've also got a L3D, which I love this weapon after the stamp buff, but also the nozzle in general is a really strong weapon. Ooh. But wow, a wipe already! Once Upon a Time in Bali, not messing about at all. I don't even know if they had a power clam ready. They do just about. Took a little bit of a while to break, but what an opening statement, Pat, by them.
Yeah, and again, if you get a wipeout and the enemy, you're pretty much already under the basket, and the clans are so close together, you can make a ball and you can get the score to 59 and counting with 3 players down against on the side of the Root. It's just the guard in mid with the machine creating the defense and getting so much time for the Root to get back in. The Root getting away with murder right now, because that 56 could have been much lower.
Wow, and they're not slowing down either. Like, it was almost a bit of a sleepy start. It was quite slow, both teams feeling right, and suddenly we are in this completely different world where the Root are just constantly on the back foot. Once upon that movement into that power clam break was fantastic, and look at how well contained mid is. We've got the crab tank out, we've got the Zuka out, we're down to 37. This is absurd. Once Upon a Time have just been so offensive since the opening. They still have a numbers advantage. Can they keep the basket open? Do they have any clams? They do.
Yes.
So they are going to reset it, and I'm going to run out of oxygen finishing this sentence. So take it over for me, Pat.
They almost KO'd with that ball right here on the Root, keeping it alive. Just some more time in here, but the Root needs so much right now. They have been pummeled repeatedly by Once Upon a Time with Bali, but they are not KO'd yet, and on this map you can still get back if you are not KO. The ball is there, the specials are at the ready. If the Root Well, okay. Okay.
This is terrifying. So unfortunately, the Root haven't even managed to get a big kind of counter push kind of going. It looked like they were synergizing their specials, but they were immediately shut down once Upon a Time respawn. And now they've already broken the basket again, but the Root this time much better at stopping the push. Looks like they're kind of settling into things a bit more. 3 were down for Once Upon a Time. Sloshing Machine clutching out against that Splatana Wiper, but being revenged. So quite messy, not safe, but the Root trying desperately to find an opportunity to get an opening here. But my gosh, Pat, we finished one sentence, and Once Upon a Time have already got back in the fray and murdered everybody. It is no room to breathe. It feels suffocating to be on the Root right now.
This map is so small, everything can happen so fast on it, and right now it's 2 down for Once Upon a Time. The Root still looking to just get near that basket, to get the kind of opportunity that Once Upon a Time have made for themselves time and again now. And it looks like Once Upon a Time is a bit on the back foot, trying to defend a bit, but the Root 2 down again. It looks like every time the Root is getting something from themselves, Once Upon a Time is there to punish everything and stop everything on their track.
Yeah, definitely. And I've heard a couple of power clam noises set up, which I think was the Root setting up for quite a big push, but they have been stopped. Once Upon a Time showing that they do have good defensive awareness as well, and they don't just rely on constant offensive momentum. The Splatana Wiper, I'm assuming, is using a QR build of sorts, because they have just constantly been up and in the fray, and somehow, again, Once Upon a Time, even with a numbers disadvantage, are the ones to get the basket break. We are down to 11 points. The Root managing to stop them again by getting 3 down, but we need to see more than them just surviving. We need to see them pushing up and putting Once Upon a Time under the same pressure that they've been put under. This is the start of that. There are a lot of power clams on the Root side. We're down to 37 points, so the Root are showing that they can do this. This is a really strong way of showing that they're not down and out yet, but we've only got 20 seconds on the clock, and it is only the Sloshing Machine alive, so I'm not sure it's going to be enough. But the Root waking up a bit here and showing that they're not pushovers by any stretch.
Too little, too late. They still have a petty clam though, so the Root could still mount a last-ditch attack, but given the difficulty that they had to mount that for the whole game, they need something so big right now to stop things, and that pick on the Wiper is going to maybe create something, but the machine falling down, 2 down for the Root. It's going to give you game 1 going in favor of Once Upon a Time in Barley.
I do recognise that Sloshing Machine on the Root. They are a very, very good player, but wow. I mean, Once Upon a Time in Barley made sure that we weren't feeling kind of sleepy going into that, didn't they? They just woke everyone up immediately with this devastating offensive, forced the Root to be in a really disadvantageous position from very early on into that game. And then 3.5 minutes of that match were mainly the Root just trying to recover from the constant offensive momentum that Once Upon a Time in Barley had. I will say, though, very, very impressive push that they did get at the end, showing that they can make really solid coordinated pushes themselves, and hopefully that is enough for the Root to feel a bit less demoralized, and Once Upon a Time to know that they can't just kind of get away with playing completely recklessly, and might mean that we have a very engaging game 2 as we go into Splat Zones on Museum di Alfonsino. But you did mention, Pat, that Mako Mart is a small map, and blimey, did it feel small with how much aggressive action we saw there. Very, very fun opening game.
Yeah, that was constant fighting, and I feel like this was what was going to the benefit of Once Upon a Time in Barley. That Wiper was always there, always fighting, and that's what you want to have with a Wiper, but on such a big map like Museum di Alfonsino, that strategy is not going to pay off as much. And we've seen that the Roots, once they are here, they can make a big push and big solid push, but that single push that the Root had scored a lot of points. They had a much better lockdown, but Once Upon a Time got in any of their pushes. So if the Root can recreate that on Museum, they could. Holding the zone for long is all you want to do. You don't want to get like small pushes as Once Upon a Time got, and the Root could very well get that game too.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think we saw a lot of initial panic from the Root, but they managed to kind of center themselves quite impressively as the game went on and show just what they can do. And you're right, Museum on zones. I mean, zones, you know, a static objective that already kind of changes how it's played. But also, Museum is really not the easiest map to get into enemy territory on. You need a good numbers advantage or really stealthy kind of play to make it onto the enemy plat. And I do wonder how playstyles are going to evolve with that in mind, because you're right, as impressive as what Once Upon a Time in Bali did, I would be shocked if they could pull off behaving in that way on this map mode combo. So it is an opportunity for both teams to kind of slightly switch up and evolve their strategy. I felt the Root were getting a good sense of how to respond to the aggression from Once Upon a Time. And yeah, we'll see how that pays off now. But again, wouldn't kind of want to make a prediction. We are going to see an Elite come out, which does make sense. And we're seeing a Gal come out from the Root, which I haven't seen much of in terms of the 96 since the changes to Kraken. But yeah, not a bad choice by any stretch.
Kraken, still a Kraken, and I see some quick respawn on the side of Sky with the 96 and 2 down for Once Upon a Time. Right now it's just the Elite and the Splash trying to defend, just keep their platform for themselves. The Splash is going to go down. Okay, the Root is in. That's the kind of start that you want for that game too.
I love how I just said how hard it is to get into enemy platform, and we already see 2 of the Root in there.
Oh, yeah.
And really nice.
Can hear you.
Yeah, they can. They want to shut me up. I don't blame them. The 10 stack as well, doing a beautiful support with that Ick strike. Nice wiper splash there, chasing that 96 away beautifully. So a good response from the Splatana wiper, but the timer is still ticking, and the numbers on the team are even. So it looks like Once Upon a Time have noticed that, and they've gone to try and cap the zone, and the Root have then responded to that, and they're holding pat. The timer, we're a minute in, and the Root have already knocked their timer down. Oh, that's a very unfortunate catch by the VR bomb. But this is a very, very different game already.
Yeah. And there's still no penalty. They finally get the penalty, and the Root already ready to attack again with Glash getting in with the splash. Wow.
I don't know how much ink burst they have on their build, but it felt they were getting really, really stuck in enemy ink there, making it a bit harder for them to move away. I mean, I do like the Root's response. They know what to expect now in terms of this aggressive strategy. They are playing in a way that counters to that. But that being said, the Once Upon a Time, they're very, very good at what they do. The wiper here poking. Wow, beautiful pick on the splash there from a very safe position. And this slosh machine who's in quite deep might get penalized for that. So suddenly, Once Upon a Time, they are probably going to take the lead from this. The platform for the Root is on lockdown. The hammer is out again, the Ultra Stamp, and suddenly the Root in a very bad position. Once Upon a Time looking like they want to end this here and now, Pat.
That looks like it, and with just a 96, it's going to be a win for Game 2 for Once Upon a Time.
So, as much as we said it wouldn't be that easy to pull off, an offensive lockdown, they have shown that they can do that. I loved how the wiper was playing there, where instead of just going straight into the plat, they were poking from the sidelines. They got a pick, and then they got onto the spinner and into enemy plat, and could do a much more aggressive lockdown with the Ultra Stamp from there. Really good opening from the Root and showing their potential, showing why they did win their opening set. But Once Upon a Time, I mean, the synergy between those players and their ability to just kind of recover from challenging situations was really, really impressive. So that is going to be a 2-0. That is Once Upon a Time securing their advance to the playoffs and the kind of final single elimination bracket. But a really good showing by the Root as well, and they've still got an opportunity to, sort this out. So, interesting for sure.
But we will see very soon round 3 after this short ad break. Don't go anywhere.
See you soon, folks.
Splatoon Stronghold, a stronghold for competitive Splatoon, providing resources to long-timers and newcomers alike. If you're new to the competitive scene or still figuring out how to join, we have a getting started guide and plenty of other resources to help you in your journey. If you are a seasoned veteran, we still have plenty to offer. You can find and join tournaments as well as participate in our Captain Forum and find free agents and teams. Our mission is to make competitive Splatoon easily accessible to everyone. So what are you waiting for? Join the Splatoon Stronghold today!